Hey, what is up, mortals? It is JessicaGem here with a new video for you. Welcome to part number 6 of What If Deku Met Ryoko. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. And so, we begin. Midoriya and Ryoko got off the train at the station nearest UA. As the two friends disembarked, they both heard a familiar, perky voice. Deku! Ryoko! Over here! The two turned towards the voice. They saw that it was Uraraka. The bubbly girl bounced over to the two friends. The sight of the pink-cheeked girl made Midoriya smile. Good morning, Uraraka. You seem really happy this morning. Uraraka replied to the brunette in an excited tone. I can't help it. Yesterday was amazing. I can't wait to see what'll happen today. Ryoko was still uneasy about Uraraka's friendship with Izuku, but she couldn't bring herself to hate the short girl. The simple fact was that hating Uraraka was like trying to hate a puppy. It was next to impossible. The white-haired girl returned the excitement when she replied to Uraraka. She's right! Let's give it our all today! I agree. Let's go plus ultra! The group turned towards the new voice and saw Melissa Shield. Good morning, guys! Looks like we all arrived at the same time. It looks like it. Midoriya's mind returned to the prior day upon seeing the tall blonde girl. Midoriya had just fallen into the teacher's lounge. Melissa and All Might, in his skinny form, stared at the boy. Midoriya, what are you doing here? Well, you see... The boy had no idea how to answer that question. How much of our conversation did you overhear, young man? Midoriya gave the only answer he could. Most of it. For several minutes, All Might and Melissa had a silent exchange. Finally, the blond man spoke. Come in, and take a seat, young Midoriya. Midoriya sat down on the couch next to Melissa. Even though the boy was nervous, he was full of many questions. Are you really All Might, sir? Looking at the emaciated man before him, it was hard to believe. But Midoriya's life force sense told him that this man before him was All Might. Even with that, the green-eyed boy didn't want to believe that the weak figure in front of him was the hero that he had looked up to his whole life. I can assure you, young man, that I am All Might. The number one lifted up his shirt and revealed a massive and ugly scar. My current state is mainly due to this. I received this wound 5 years ago after a brutal battle. Midoriya responded in a shocked voice. 5 years? Does that mean it was the battle with Toxic Chainsaw? Wow, you really know your stuff, kid. All Might then turned to Melissa. You weren't lying, Melissa. Young Midoriya really is my biggest fan. Midoriya wondered what else the blue-eyed girl had told the number one hero about him. Anyway, I must ask that you keep what I am about to tell you to yourself. Don't go putting it online or anything. Of course, sir. You can trust me. All Might then looked into Midoriya's eyes. He did this for several minutes. The man must have liked what he saw, because he nodded his head in approval. To answer your previous question, Toxic Chainsaw was a tough battle, but he couldn't take me down. My wound came from another villain. It destroyed my stomach. The surgeries to repair it have left my body wrecked. As it stands now, I can only use my power for 2 hours at a time. So, you're training Melissa to be your successor? You know, since her power is so similar to yours? Not exactly. You see, Melissa's power is so similar to mine because I gave her my quirk. Midoriya's head began to spin. That one line made him question everything he knew about quirks. The teen was about to go on an epic rant, but he thought better of it. Midoriya remembered that the source of his power was way more outlandish than a transferred quirk. Midoriya then thought that if aliens existed, then anything was possible, even transferring quirks from one person to another. That is surprising news, but it does make a lot of sense. I have noticed that Melissa's power is similar to yours, All Might, except that she has to wear those support items. You're very observant, young Midoriya.
Those support items are for Melissa's safety. My quirk is so powerful now that Melissa would probably break her bones if she used it unassisted.
That leaves me only one question. What's the name of your quirk, All Might?
The name of my quirk is One for All. It is a stockpiling type quirk. Each user builds up power the longer they have possession of it. I was the 8th holder of the power. That makes Melissa the 9th.
Wow, that is impressive. How come you chose Melissa?
Midoriya realized how that sounded and tried to backpedal.
I mean, she's great and everything. I was just wondering. I'm sorry if it offended you, Melissa.
The blonde girl laughed kindly at the brunette. Melissa then spoke in a friendly tone.
It's all right, Midoriya. I'm not offended.
All Might then cleared his throat. To answer your question, young Midoriya, I was friends with Melissa's father in my youth. You've probably heard of him. His name is David Shield.
Midoriya's eyes lit up in excitement. I know him! Professor David Shield! He's an inventor who won a Nobel Quirk Prize. He even designed All Might's major looks, those being his Young Age, Bronze Age, Silver Age, and the Golden Age.
Both Melissa and All Might laughed at Midoriya, both realizing that he was a true fanboy. They each thought they would have to introduce him to a certain man in their inner circle, someday. All of that is true. I also became Melissa's godfather when she was born. I chose her to inherit my quirk after a harrowing attack on David's lab. I was visiting him for a costume upgrade when a bomb went off in the building where David was working. Melissa was with him. She was only 7 years old at the time. I rushed into the building to rescue my friend. When I reached his location, I found young Melissa trying her hardest to save her father. He had become trapped under fallen debris. Of course, being so young and quirkless, she couldn't get him out.
Midoriya turned to his classmate. You were quirkless, Melissa?
The blonde girl nodded.
The doctors told me I would never develop a power. It was heartbreaking.
I know the feeling. All Might continued. I rescued both Melissa and David from the blast site. I was moved by how brave Melissa was at that moment. After she was cleared by the doctors, I asked her why she had risked her life to stay by her father's side. The answer she gave me chose her as my successor.
What did she say?
She said that a true hero never leaves someone in distress. She told me that she might not have any powers, but she couldn't leave her father there alone and scared.
Midoriya looked at his friend in awe. He knew Melissa was brave, but he had no clue she was this brave. These facts only improved his opinion of the aqua-eyed girl.
After that, I told both Melissa and David about my secret, just like I am telling you now, young Midoriya. I then offered to pass my quirk on to Melissa when she was ready. I spent the following years being the symbol of peace and training Melissa. A lot of her training was done by video call. I created a training routine for her to follow, and I tracked her improvement. Then I got this wound in my stomach. I called for Melissa to come to Japan. I found that she was not quite ready yet, so I spent my recovery and the next 3 years ensuring that she was ready. Once I was satisfied, I gave her my power.
Melissa made a disgusted face. He made me eat one of his hairs.
Really? That sounds gross.
Melissa did her best All Might impression, which Midoriya thought was really good. He held out the hair to me and said,
"Eat this." Anyway, that is how we got here. Once again, I hope I can count on you to keep this a secret, young man.
Midoriya nodded in agreement. Of course, All Might, sir. Suddenly, Midoriya felt dishonest. Here was his friend and favorite hero being completely forthcoming, and he was hiding his truth. Midoriya's grandfather hadn't made him promise to keep his origin a secret, but the kind man had implied it. But this was All Might. If he couldn't trust the #1 hero, then he could trust no one. Plus, Midoriya just didn't feel right keeping his secret when his friend has shared hers with him.
You two are not the only ones with a secret.
Both Melissa and All Might looked at the brunette with interest.
What do you mean, young one?
Yeah, Midoriya, what do you mean?
Midoriya then told the pair his secret, about his grandfather being a powerful warrior from the planet Jirai, how he had received his power from his alien ancestry and not a quirk. He also related how he had not gained his powers until his early teens. The one thing he didn't share was that Ryoko was a space pirate. Midoriya didn't feel that that was his secret to share. If Ryoko wanted the others to know about her past, then she should be the one to tell them. Both Melissa and All Might stared at Midoriya as he spoke. Both wore looks of surprise and awe on their faces. Melissa was the first to speak. Now that is a wild story. It sounds like something from an American comic book. Melissa moved her face about an inch from Midoriya's and looked the green teen in the eyes. Midoriya's cheeks turned a bright red. The boy thought to himself, "She is really close to me." After looking the green-eyed boy over, Melissa announced, "You're not lying, are you?" "Indeed, that is some secret you carry, young man, and I thought I was the only one. Rest assured, Midoriya, I will keep your secret. You have my word as the symbol of peace." "Same here, Midoriya. Your secret is safe with me." "Thank you both. I'll have to tell my grandfather about this. It wouldn't be right to keep him out." "Of course. You may also tell him about what we discussed here today. If the man has lived on this planet this long without anyone knowing, I get the feeling that my secret will be safe with him." "Thank you, All Might." This video is sponsored by Skillshare. With the services Skillshare provides, you can get access to many in-depth tutorial videos on basically anything you want to learn. Each class that they have is bound to help you with your creative endeavors. Do you want to learn how to make videos like this one? Do you want to learn how to write scripts or edit audio? Skillshare has you covered. And with our link, you can have a 14-day free trial. So what are you waiting for? Click the link now and get 14 days worth of classes free. Link in the description below. "Are you alright, Midoriya?" Midoriya snapped out of his memories. "Oh, what was that, Melissa?" "You got a spacey look in your eyes. I was worried for a moment." Uraraka spoke in a perky tone. "She was right, Deku. You did get a lost look there for a moment. It was kind of creepy." Sorry about that, you guys. I just got lost in thought." Ryoko joined in the exchange. "What were you thinking about, Izuku?" "Nothing important. Let's head to UA. We don't want to be late." Midoriya turned and started to walk towards the UA campus. The three girls were left standing with confused looks on their faces. The three then shared a laugh and followed behind Midoriya. On the way out of the train station, the group met up with Ida. The stiff teen joined his friends as they walked to the campus. The group was surprised by what they saw at the entrance to UA. A large group of reporters had gathered in front of the UA barrier. All of them were clamoring for a shot of All Might. The students approached with caution. When they got close to the ravenous group of reporters, they descended on the students like flies on honey. They bombarded the teens with questions. Some of them answered, while others were too stunned to speak. As the group tried their best to get through the main gate, Aizawa appeared before the reporter with an arctic glare in his eyes. The reporters were frozen in place. One brave, or unwise, reporter approached Aizawa. "Sir, can you give us a quote about All Might? How is he holding up under his new responsibilities?" Aizawa turned his cold gaze on the reporter. "Absolutely not. Give you people an inch and you'll take a mile. Now go find someone else to bother. You've wasted enough of my students' time." The dark-haired man turned back to the other reporters. "Besides, All Might is not on campus today. There is no story for you here." He then turned to his students. "Let's go to class, kids." Without a word, Midoriya and his friends followed their teacher through the gate and onto the campus. As the bell rang, the One-Eye students took their seats. Aizawa took his place at the lectern. "Today, you will have a very important assignment." The students wondered if he was going to threaten them with expulsion if they failed. "Today, you will be choosing a class representative." This caused all the students to explode in excitement. In most schools, this role would just be busy work, but being chosen as the class rep at UA would show that you knew how to lead a group and command respect. This would make it easier to find a job at a successful hero agency after graduation. Aizawa got a sleepy look in his eyes. I will leave the process of selection up to you. Make sure that you choose before I finish my nap. With those words, the bleary-eyed man pulled his sleeping bag around him and went to sleep in the corner of the room. A heated exchange ensued between the members of 1A. Each person wanted the role for themselves. After several minutes of this, Ida spoke up. If we keep this up, we will never make a selection. I suggest that we vote for who we want as a representative.
How is that gonna help? Won't everyone just vote for themselves, though? And we just met each other. How do we know who we can trust with a role like that, Ribbit?
It is true that most people will vote for themselves, but if anyone does get more than one vote, then they must be worthy of leading our class. The other members of the class agreed with Ida's plan. Each person cast their ballot. When the votes were counted, Midoriya received 4 votes and Melissa received 3 votes. Midoriya was dumbfounded. He had no idea how he managed to receive so many votes. Ida was understandably disappointed, but the teen felt it was improper to argue with the method that he had suggested. Aizawa awoke from his nap, happy that his students had made their selection. The grumpy man called Midoriya and Melissa to the front of the class. So the decision is made. Midoriya will be the class representative, and Shield will be the vice representative. With that announcement, the bell rang for lunch. Midoriya was joined for lunch in the cafeteria by Ida, Ryoko, Melissa, Uraraka, and Asui. The group engaged in conversation as they enjoyed Lunch Rush's delicious food. Uraraka started the conversation.
You must be really excited, Deku. I mean, you just got elected class rep.
More like surprised. I still don't understand how I got so many votes. Ida responded to this inquiry. It is not surprising, Midoriya. After the way you and Melissa performed in the entrance exam and in the combat training, it is only natural that our classmates would see you two as leadership material. That is why I voted for you, Midoriya.
That is interesting, Ida. I was sure that you had your eye on the position.
Well, wanting a position and being ready for it are 2 different things. I learned that working with the Ida Family Agency. The mention of the words family agency made Uraraka speak up.
That reminds me, Ida. I have been wondering about you for a while now.
Uraraka's voice took on a curious tone.
Admit it, your family is super rich.
Ida's face took on a look of resignation. I was hoping to avoid bringing my family into my school life. It can be difficult when people learn about my family. All of the students at the table stared at the bespectacled teen with wide eyes. Ida took a deep breath and decided to tell the truth. Have any of you heard of the turbo hero Ingenium?
I know all about him. He's a super popular pro with 65 sidekicks working for him at his Tokyo agency.
Ida stood up from his seat with a look of pride on his face. He is my elder brother. Ingenium is an unmatched commander who honors the hero's code.
Whoa, Ida. I think that's the first time I've seen you smile.
Suddenly, an alarm went off. All of the students in the cafeteria started to panic. As an upperclassman ran past the table, Midoriya grabbed him by the arm. What is going on? What does that alarm mean? That is a Tier 1 alarm. They haven't had one of those in the 3 years that I've been here, so it must be bad. With those words, Midoriya released the boy and he ran off. Uraraka became concerned.
What should we do? Should we follow the others and evacuate the building?
Midoriya opened his life senses. He felt the students all getting pressed into the exit hallway, but he was getting another large cluster of individuals right inside the main entrance. With this information, Midoriya ran over to a nearby window to see what was going on outside. Ryoko found Midoriya's behavior a little strange.
Izuku, what are you doing?
Ryoko and the others followed Midoriya to the window. They were all shocked by what they saw. The main entrance had been inundated with the reporters from earlier.
That is the emergency? It's just the reporters from earlier.
We have a bigger problem. All of the students in the cafeteria all exited through the same hallway. They're all trapped. The group ran to the hallway and found that Izuku was right. All of the students, including some of their classmates, were all pressed together in a massive panic.
What should we do? If this keeps up, they're gonna hurt each other.
I have an idea. Everyone in the group looked at the greenette. I just hope this works. Midoriya focused his power. The teen focused his power throughout his body. He then took off running. He leapt over the crowd of panicking students and landed on the right-hand wall of the hallway. The teen's feet stuck to the wall, and he ran down the length of the hallway. He came to a stop over the double doors. Midoriya took a deep breath and spoke in a loud and clear voice. "Calm down, everybody! There is no emergency! The press has just gotten past the front gate. That is all. Even so, we need to stay calm and show everyone what UA students are made of." With those words, everyone settled down and exited the hallway in an orderly fashion. Midoriya walked down off the wall and rejoined his friends. As the group walked back to class, Ryoko jabbed Midoriya in the arm.
"That was a pretty cool show of leadership, Izuku."
"I just reacted. I didn't want the others to get hurt." Ryoko slapped Izuku on the shoulder.
"Don't be so modest. You saw a problem and moved to solve it before the worst could happen. If that's not a leader, then what is?"
Izuku could only smile at his white-haired friend. "You have a point, as always, Ryoko." Ryoko smiled back.
"So, are you gonna step up and lead the class, or push it onto someone else's shoulders?"
"I wasn't expecting to be put in charge of the class, but after that episode, it would be foolish of me not to try."
"Good to hear. You'll be amazing, Izuku. Just wait and see."
A short while later, Principal Nezu, Aizawa, and several other faculty members stood at the UA barrier, a massive steel wall that surrounded the campus. One section of the wall had been reduced to a pile of rust. "So this is how the reporter got in. Looks like the work of someone's quirk, but I wonder, is this an attack or a warning shot?" The bear mouse then turned to the other staff members. "Pull all of the security feeds and inform the police. We need to be prepared for what comes next." Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you've enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All of the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. That's all for today's video, so farewell and have a divine day.